The celestial forum hummed with a symphony of alien tongues. Ambassador Kaelen Vance adjusted the collar of his Earth Republic uniform, feeling the weight of countless eyes. First contact protocol is our only priority, his aide, Commander Isaro, whispered. We are the newcomers here. Kaelen nodded. Humanity had cracked interstellar travel barely a decade prior. They were infants among ancient civilizations. Most species regarded them with detached curiosity. The Cthar, however, projected pure, undiluted contempt. The Cthar delegation was a wall of polished chitin and muscle, standing a full meter taller than any human. Therefore, crimson eyes tracked Kaelen's every move. The human delegation may present itself, chimed the forum arbiter, a being of shimmering light. Kaelen stepped forward, the practiced words ready on his lips. Honor members of the Celestial Forum. Humanity seeks peaceful coexistence and mutual prosperity. A soft, approving murmur rippled through the assembly. Then the Cthar ambassador, War Chief Zorak, spoke, his translator emitting a guttural growl. This charade is concluded. We have observed your kind. You are clever apes who stumbled upon tools you cannot comprehend. The hall fell silent. Kaelen's jaw tightened. We came in peace, ambassador, not for insults. The Cthar emitted a harsh, clicking laugh. You believe you warrant respect? Zorak rose, looming. Your history is a litany of self-destruction over insignificant territories. You are fragile, volatile, and weak. Our past is its shadows, Kaelen conceded, his voice steady. But we look to the future. Zorak took a final, intimidating step. You have no future here. Then he did it. He spat a stream of black, viscous fluid onto Kaelen's chest. The substance sizzled on the fabric. Kaelen slowly wiped away, his hand trembling not with fear, but with controlled fury. In my culture, he said, his voice dangerously low, that is profound offense. What he couldn't know was that in Cthar tradition, this was not merely an insult. It was a formal vow of annihilation. Zorak grinned. The Cthar dynasty does not parley with inferior creatures. Alarm shrieked across the forum. Ambassador! Isara called out. 3 Cthar battlecruisers have just exited warp. They're firing on our diplomatic ship. Before Kaelen could process the command, the station shuddered violently from a direct hit. The forum descended into bedlam. It was an ambush, Kaelen realized. He activated his comm. All Republic personnel. Emergency evacuation. Now! As they sprinted for their shuttle, Isara looked at him, bewildered. Why? We offered them nothing but friendship. Kaelen had no answer. He was unaware he had just been thrust into a conflict with the galaxy's most formidable empire, and the Cthar had no idea they had just ignited a war with the universe's most relentless species. They were about to learn the true meaning of error. They woke a sleeping giant, and now they will face a storm. In the Cthar war room, War Chief Zorak stood before the 7 members of the High Synod. Holograms displayed the burning husks of human vessels. The primates were caught completely unaware, Zorak boasted. They displayed confusion, not combat readiness. Synod Prime Forlag clicked his mandibles in approval. A masterful first strike, War Chief. Our surprise is total. Display the biological data. A hologram of a human form rotated in the center of the chamber. As you see, Zorak stated, they are physically deficient. Brittle endoskeletons, minimal redundant organs, pathetic sensory range. Their homeworld's low gravity makes them slow and fragile. And yet they achieved FTL travel, noted Synod member Kirax, her tone cautious. Zorak dismissed her with a wave. A statistical fluke. Their technological progress is chaotic, not deliberate. The briefing was interrupted by a junior officer. Supreme Commander, a transmission from a human homeworld. Their unified government demands an explanation for our aggression. They claim ignorance. The Synod laughed, a sound like grinding stone. They feign innocence, Forlag chuckled. How pathetic. Shall we respond? The officer asked. No, Zorak said flatly. Our subsequent attacks will be explanation enough. Meanwhile, on Earth, Fleet Admiral Rhea Jakande stood before the Global Defense Council. The assault was unprovoked and deliberate, she stated, her voice cold. Ambassador Vance was following established diplomatic procedure. Casualties? Asked the council president. 42 dead, 28 wounded, Rhea replied, the numbers tasting like ash. The Cthar targeted life support and engines. This was a slaughter, not a skirmish. Commander Isara stepped forward, her face a mask of grim resolve. We confirmed subsequent attacks. The outer colony on Tau City, it's gone. A wave of horror swept the room. The research outpost? That was a civilian installation. Confirmed fatalities exceed 400, Isara said softly, including 112 miners. The silence that followed was heavier than any explosion. The council president turned to Rhea, her face pale. Admiral, what is your assessment? Rhea's eyes were hard. The Cthar have chosen war. All hails have been met with silence. I recommend we give them the war they so clearly desire. But their empire spans 20 systems. We have 3 fledgling colonies, protested one minister. They believe they know our capabilities, Rhea countered. They are mistaken. What is our response? The president asked. Rhea didn't hesitate. A simple message, one they will comprehend in time. She paused. Send this. You have gravely miscalculated. In the Cthar war room, Synod Prime Forlag read the human message and scoffed. An empty threat from a doomed species. He turned to his commanders. They believe they can challenge our dynasty. He was blissfully unaware of the storm that was gathering. For the first time in centuries, Earth was united. The attack on the civilian colony had erased old borders and older animosities. Commander Eris Thorn watched the main display at Lunar Command. His sister had been a xenobotanist on Tau Ceti. Now, she was a name on a casualty list. Commander, the unified fleet is assembling, reported a subordinate. On the screen, hundreds of vessels converged. It was a ragtag armada, refitted freighters, old patrol ships, and a handful of true warships. It was a start. Status of Project Phoenix? Eris asked, his voice detached. All dormant assets are now active. The Cthar intelligence has no record of them. A faint, cold smile touched Eris's lips. For generations, nations had hidden their most advanced projects from each other. Now, those secrets were the seeds of vengeance. And the new predictive combat algorithms? Operational. We kept them entirely off-network. The Cthar are fighting a phantom of our past. A Cthar scout ship, the Claw of Vengeance, identified a drifting human freighter. They are damaged and vulnerable, Captain Scar announced. Board them. Take specimens for interrogation. The Cthar boarding party stormed the airlock, weapons raised. They found 6 human crew members who immediately surrendered. You are prisoners of Cthar dynasty, the squad leader declared. The humans exchanged a single, silent glance. Then they moved. Hidden blades and compact energy pistols appeared from within their suits. They fought with a terrifying, silent ferocity. Captain Scar watched the feed in confusion. Why do they not yield? The outcome is certain. The last human standing detonated a concealed charge, crippling the Claw's boarding bay. They fought to delay us, to ensure the ship's core overloaded. Scar realized, aghast. They embraced death to inflict damage. This is illogical. On the Cthar homeworld, an elderly historian named Scholar Veln requested an audience with the Synod. I must counsel you about these humans, Veln implored, his thin voice echoing in the vast chamber. I have chronicled 1,000 species. Humans are an anomaly. Zorak laughed. They are primitive and soft. Have you examined their planetary history? Veln pressed. They have endured global conflicts, engineered plagues, and faced planetary extinction events. They do not break. They adapt. Irrelevant, Forlag stated. Their current military is outmatched. You misunderstand, Veln insisted. Humans are dangerous not for their technology, but for their psychology. Under pressure, they do not collapse. They evolve. The Synod dismissed him. His warnings were the ramblings of an academic. Meanwhile, Commander Thorn led a raid on a Cthar listening post where human POWs were held. In and out, quick and clean, she told her team. Their stealth ship, the Whisperer, slipped through sensor nets. They were discovered almost immediately, trapped in a crossfire, Eris assessed the alien technology surrounding them. Her mind, a weapon in itself, saw a solution in the chaos. New plan, she said, inputting commands into a stolen console. We use their own power grid against them. Minutes later, the outpost erupted in a cascade of internal explosions as Eris's team escaped with every prisoner. The Synod's laughter ceased when they received that report. A flicker of doubt was born. Lieutenant Jax Corwin stood before a clandestine gathering of alien emissaries, species who had suffered under Cthar expansion. Before we discuss tactics, Jax began, you must understand who you're allying with. He displayed images on the wall. Ancient human phalanxes, Napoleonic cavalry, modern spec op soldiers. War is our oldest art form. We have refined it across millennia. A tentacle diplomat, Envoy Nix, spoke. Many species have war in their history. But have they perfected it? Jax countered. He showed footage of the Defiant, a single human destroyer luring 3 Cthar cruisers into a field of stealth mines. The human ship was lost with all hands, but it took 3 capital ships with it. We call that a calculated trade, Jax said flatly. The aliens were visibly unsettled. This was not honorable combat. It was brutal, efficient calculus. The crew knew it was a suicide mission. Jax finished. They volunteered. In the Synod, Forlag slammed his fist on the table. How do they anticipate our every move? He roared. Scholar Veln was recalled. Humans evolved as persistence predators, the old scholar explained. They think in terms of the hunt, the trap, the exhaustion of prey. You are not fighting an army. You are being hunted by a predator. A cold dread filled the chamber. Then how do we defeat them? Forlag asked. Veln shook his head. You cannot. You made the one mistake from which there is no recovery. You killed their children. There is no force in the cosmos more terrifying than a human seeking justice for its young. We are the monsters they created, and we have learned our role well. 6 months later, the war's tide had turned. The Cthar, who expected a swift conquest, were now losing systems. Sergeant Eva Rostova lay concealed in the crimson fungi forest of a contested world. Her team had been observing a Cthar supply route for days. Convoy is in the kill zone, her spotter whispered. For transports, heavy escort. Eva checked her rifle. Light them up. The ambush was a perfectly executed symphony of violence. In minutes, the convoy was ash and her team had vanished. This pattern repeated across a dozen fronts. The Cthar High Command was baffled. Our troops require standardized rest cycles. These humans operate for days without sleep. How? Their intelligence officer reported. Our analysis suggests they evolved as persistence hunters. Their endurance is a biological weapon. They will outlast you every time. The Cthar, in desperation, sent a peace overture, offering a return to pre-war borders. Admiral Jakande met their envoy. That was acceptable before the massacre of Tau Ceti E, she said, her tone icy. Now, we require your unconditional surrender and full reparations. The Cthar envoy was stunned. That would mean the end of our dynasty. You should have considered that, Rhea replied, before you declared war on all of humanity. Faced with total defeat, the Cthar launched a final desperate assault. A massive armada of over 200 warships bypassed outer defenses and jumped directly into the Sol system. Their target, Earth, the ultimate blow to break the human spirit. Deep within Cheyenne Mountain, Commander Lena Petrova saw the incoming signals. Dragon Protocol is now active, she announced, her voice calm. I repeat, Dragon is active. What followed was not a battle, but a revelation. The solar system itself awoke. Asteroids revealed hidden railguns. Civilian stations deployed plasma casters. Mining drones swarmed Cthar vessels, overloading shields with suicide runs. The Cthar fleet was caught in a meat grinder of humanity's own making. Admiral Scar, watching his flagship disintegrate, sent one final, horrified transmission. They are not just a military. Their entire civilization is a weapon. Every citizen a soldier. Within hours, the Cthar armada was shattered. The survivors fled, carrying with them the terrifying truth. Professor Veln met the remnants of the Synod. Now you see, he said quietly, you did not fight their army. You fought their very nature. And you lost. Admiral Jakande's fleet then arrived at the Kthar homeworld, but instead of orbital bombardment, they transmitted a single data packet. It contained all the evidence of the Senate's planned Scorch World Protocol, a plan to destroy their own planets rather than surrender. The Kthar people saw the truth of their leader's madness. The revolution that followed was swift. The dynasty fell. 1 year later, Ambassador Kaelen Vance stood again in the Celestial Forum. The Kthar representative, now elected official, stood beside him. The reconstruction proceeds with humanity's assistance, Kaelen reported. After the meeting, a young Kthar approached him. My family was lost in the war, the youth said. Yet your people helped rebuild ours. Why? You had won. Kaelen placed a hand on the youth's shoulder. Because victory is empty if its only fruit is ashes. We are defined not by how we fight, but by why we choose to stop. Across the stars, former enemies now worked as partners. Humanity had proven its most profound strength. They were the most dangerous ally the galaxy would ever know. And if you enjoyed the story of humanity's resilience, please like this video and follow Winds of Thought for more journeys into the cosmos.